Hey, so I'm going to be going over Matthew 23 in this video. So let's get into this. So in Matthew 23, it opens up with the seven woes. It's known as the seven woes, and it's pretty much Jesus' rebuking of the Pharisees, him rebuking the Pharisees for their hypocrisy and pride. So let's start. Matthew 23. Then Jesus said to the crowds and his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, so you must obey them and do everything they tell you. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy loads and put them on men's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. So that's a lot in the first paragraph. So Jesus is calling out the Pharisees, saying they do not practice what they teach, they're hypocrites. And you notice a lot of authority like that nowadays, all right. Everything they do is done for men to see. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted in the marketplaces, to have men call them rabbi. So, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, They do things because they want to be seen by men, which Jesus rebuked. Jesus rebuked that kind of lifestyle and mindset earlier in Matthew, where he said, when you do acts of righteousness, be sure not to do it in front of others to be seen by them. If you do so, you will have no reward in heaven. Rather, do what you do in secret, and your Father in heaven will reward you. Yeah. And okay, so verse 8. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have only one master, and you are all brothers. So we're all brothers and sisters. So we shouldn't call anybody rabbi or anything like that, because, we are all brothers. Only God deserves to be called rabbi or father. You see a bunch of Jews nowadays calling, their teachers of the law rabbi and stuff, which, it's like Jesus is God. Therefore, when you call others rabbi, you're disrespecting the same God that you claim you worship, But it's just sad, and how many religions have things like that, where they call people rabbi or master, or not master, but, father and stuff, titles like that. And verse 9, and do not call anyone on earth father, for you have only one Father, and he is in heaven. So, referencing God as the Father. And, only God is the Father. He is the only true Father. So, we are not to call other men father. And that, it pretty much calls out the Catholic Church and its lies, the lies of the Catholic Church. They call their priest father. Jesus said, do not call other people father. Do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father and he is in heaven. That's one of the reasons why I despise the Catholic Church with, great fury, because the Catholic Church has taught to call the priest father with impunity for so long. Nothing happens because of it. Which is sad, because you blatantly ignoring the, commandment of God, Jesus, God in the flesh, the same God that you claim you worship. You calling teachers and other people father, which it's just sad. Like, don't call other teachers of the law and, higher ups in Christianity father or rabbi, because only God is the Father and only God is the rabbi. We are all brothers. Verse 10, nor are you to be called teacher, for you have one teacher, the Christ. The greatest among you will be your servant. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Yeah. This is like what Jesus said, whoever is last will be first, and whoever is first will be last. So we need to humble ourselves down to the place of a child, Okay. Now, in verse 13, Jesus says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut out the kingdom of heaven in men's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to." Now, this reminds me of how in movies they would depict this. You know, movies about Jesus' life. Jesus would come up there, all up in the Pharisees, and just be like, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees! Hypocrites all! You shut out the kingdom of heaven against man! You do not join yourselves, nor will you let those enter who are willing to, or trying to," And it's just inspiring to read it like that, as if Jesus is saying it like that. He may not have said it. He may have said it calmly. "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites." May have been like, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees," And I didn't mean the thing where my voice was cracking in an insulting way. It was just like that. But yeah, it's nice, because Jesus is calling them out boldly. That's how we should do when we meet false teachers in Christianity who claim to be Christians, yet they preach another message. Be bold about it. Tell them why they're lying and being deceitful. Verse 15. "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, and when he becomes one, you make him twice as much a son of hell as you are." So Jesus is talking real boldly. Like, we gotta admire that. We should try and replicate that. When we're talking to liars and false teachers of the law, and like false pastors, people in the Catholic Church, Mormon Church, Jehovah's Witness Church, the Jewish people in the Jewish religion, like teachers. Like modern teachers of the law in Judaism. Be bold. Say, "That's a lie. That's hypocrisy. This is why." Give them the reasons. It's their choice if they want to accept the objective truth. Which the objective truth being Jesus' message that these things are what he said. These are his commandments. Obey them. Verse 16. "Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound by his oath. You blind fools! Which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gift on it, he is bound by his oath. You blind men! Which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, he who swears by the altar swears by it and everything on it. And he who swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it, being God. And he who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by the one who sits on it, being God." And that's something you see a lot. People swear on God's name. They say like, "Oh, on God, that's crazy. On God, I did this crazy thing last night. Oh, on God, that was a good taco." It's just thrown around like it's nothing. Like, that's a sacred thing to be swearing by. You don't swear by God's name because, Jesus earlier in the book of Matthew said, "Swear by nothing, for you can make no hair on your head white or black." Of course, this was pre-hair dye, but you get the point. You have no control over yourself. Only God does. So do not swear by things because you have no control. But Jesus is extremely bold. Like, telling the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, "You blind fools," calling them, "You blind fools, you blind men." He is not scared of anything. He knows where he's going. He's coming at the right hand of God. That's the mindset we should have. Do not fear any man, only fear God. God is the only one who decides if we go to heaven or hell. And Jesus feared no man. Because he is God. He was with God in the beginning because he is God. He created the heavens and the earth because he is God. He had nothing to fear. We should be like that too, because we know once we die, if we did what God willed, we are going to heaven. You know, because Jesus said, not all who come unto me and say, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only him that does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So we need to do the will of God. You know, no matter what that means, we lose. You know, Jesus said, he who is not willing to take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me.